Welcome back. Let's find out if we've got anything wrong so far. For that, we go to TV's Andy Levy. So, Andy, what's happening?
Oh, What's Happening was a great 1970s sitcom, Greg. It followed the wacky adventures of Raj, Dwayne, and Rerun, three teenagers growing up in Watts. The show also featured Raj's mom, Mabel, and sister Dee, and Shirley, of course, who was a waitress at Rob's place, where the guys were always hanging out. I believe we have a clip.
Was his name Al Dunbar by any chance?
Yeah, how'd you know?
He was the lowlife that recorded our concert in St. Louis.
I wonder who wrote that script. Warner Brothers? No.
Who was that guy?
Yeah.
Moi. Andy, it's good to see you again.
Oh, I thought that was Governor Huckabee. I think you're showing the wrong picture.
Yeah.
That was before the hair plugs.
Yeah. Nice.
Baby.
You're like Cheryl Tiegs with a mustache.
Thanks.
By the way, I liked how you owned that line. You didn't let the line own you.
Yeah.
You
No,
took
no, no,
control on that.
That was my motivation.
Libya. Bill, you said you were perplexed by Gaddafi's choice of surgeons for his plastic surgery. As was I, so I did some research. It turns out it's the same Brazilian doctor who worked on Hitler in '46.
Really?
Yeah.
Brazil. You
Yeah.
are just an awful, awful place.
Yep.
Is it safe?
Exactly. Governor, you said of our role in Libya, do we get involved every time somebody does something wrong? Don't you think that when President Obama said we cannot stand idly by when a tyrant tells his people there will be no mercy, he kind of backed himself into a corner? Now, if that's the standard, now we have to.
Well, I mean, that may be his new standard. If it is, we're going to be a very, very busy country, and we better recruit about 10 million young people to be soldiers.
I don't think we can do that.
Probably not. But Greg's willing to go, and we're willing to send Bill, whether he's willing to go or not.
No, I said I would be willing to move into a military installation. I didn't say I would fight.
Yes. And Greg, we can send Bill. We can send Bill now, can't we?
Yeah, we can't.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
What part of sequentially not understanding, Andy? That thing had nothing to do with my kind.
Yeah. Hey, Skunk, you said one of the reasons the Chinese and the Russians didn't block the UN resolution was because they want to get a good look at how we fight a war. First of all, not a war. It's a time-limited, scope-limited military action.
Anytime anything goes bang, bang, and there's radar, it's a war.
I'm told otherwise. I've been told otherwise by my government, which I always believe.
So that means Charlie Sheen's just a walking war.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a good point. Second of all, Skunk, I think that what the Chinese and Russians have learned here is that we're using Napoleon's battle plan, which, of course, was first we show up, then we see what happens.
That's the Nancy Pelosi also medical plan, right? First we vote for it, and then we find out what's in it.
Right.
It's a new concept, total new concept. Seems to be working. Von Clausewitz is Von somebody now, Von Dam. That's what
Worldwide approval of America tops other major powers. Didn't I deal with this already?
You might have.
All right. Was that last night? Greg, you referred to Russia as a tiny island nation.
Yes.
I believe it's more of an archipelago.
Ah.
Yeah. I just like to say archipelago.
Yes.
It's a fun word.
A lot of turtles there.
But, yeah.
The
Governor,
chocolate. I'm talking about the chocolate snack.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay. Governor, I don't want to misquote you or take you out of context. So
Yes, you do.
I want to make sure. No, I want to make sure I get this exactly right. When you said, "quote," when I'm the glorious leader of America and there are no more elections, you're going to see some big changes around here. What did you mean?
Pretty much what I said there.
Okay.
Andy.
All right.
There was no ambiguity about that at
Okay.
all. If you don't get that, you need to quit. You need to find a job in newspapers where there's nothing but ambiguity.
Absolutely.
New York Times has an opening. You should take it.
I admire your candor, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
I do my best.
Yes. I'm glad you have no desire to be president. Imogen, our approval rating actually, although it went from 34% in 2008 under evil Bush Hitler to 49% in 2009 under the Messiah Obama, it actually dropped from 49% to 47% in 2010.
It's probably gone a bit further down now, but it's still not plummeted to the depths of before.
But is the honeymoon over?
I think after Libya, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Simple question, simple answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Possibly wrong, though.
Possibly.
Imogen, do you think the UK's actions in Libya are making them look bad in the eyes of the world?
Well, it's clearly a mistake. We look like Muppets.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And nobody has any idea what's going on. Everyone's contradicting themselves. The defence minister...
I like the Brits. I like
the equivalent of our joint chiefs of staff.
Imogen, the Brits actually said part of the agenda is killing Gaddafi. At least you guys said that.
No, the Minister of Defence did, and then the equivalent of our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff went back and said, oh, no, not really. And then David Cameron spent 6 hours in Parliament skirting around the issue. Nobody has the guts to come out and say it.
I'm confused by this constant Muppet reference. I thought you guys called them crumpets. Crumpets. You've been in America too long.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Gregolog, Bill Maher, Palin, and now. Skunk, you said when people are out of their depth, the first thing they go to is personal attacks. You're an idiot.
Thank you, dear. And the love that you show for me is awesome. I really appreciate that.
Governor, you said you think now has become increasingly irrelevant over the past couple of years. My thing is, I think they should have stayed out of this. I don't think Maher meant to be misogynistic. He used a word that, is offensive, but he's a comedian.
You think that?
I do think that.
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
You want to come down here and do something about it?
I kind of do, but then I wouldn't be on the TV, which I
because
really
I'm
like.
sitting next to Skunk, and he will take you out.
Yes. No, okay. Yeah. Then I will stay right where I am. Let's see. Mileage tax. Greg, you said the Congressional Budget Office's report recommends that the government tax people based on how many miles they drive. In fact, the CBO, which was tasked to do this report by Ken Conrad, the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee.
Sure.
All they did was analyze alternative approaches to funding highways, alternatives to a gas tax. And they actually say, quote, in keeping with CBO's mandate to provide objective impartial analysis, this study does not make any recommendations.
Nah.
Yeah.
Well,
Apologize
how about
to the
that
CBO.
then?
Apologize to the CBO.
How about that? I apologize for nothing, to quote some strange man.
Okay. Imogen, you said in England you pay a 60% tax on fuel. Don't you know how bad that makes you look in the eyes of the world?
Yeah, it's horrific, but at least we are dealing with our deficit, and we are moving forward on that.
I know, but you're England. You're better than that.
What, dealing with our deficit? No, we were going to go bankrupt, so it's quite good of us to actually sort that one out. Otherwise, if you don't deal with deficit, one does go bankrupt.
Just make those...
I expect more from you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You guys, the chemistry is lacking tonight.
Sorry, Andy, it's
You
so
used
good
to have
see.
Fireworks. Fireworks.
We
It's
had a
Friday,
slight falling
clearly.
out.
Friday, clearly.
Could it be? No. Right. No.
Your sexual chemistry is working for the weekend.
Apparently I'm done.
Are you done, Andy? Are you really? Okay, then let's take a break. Go back to your little hole in hell. Coming up, John Travolta finally comes out with a new fragrance. But first, thy name is Glee, you make thee flee. From ITV, gotta pee. Does Twitter make Tinseltown tougher? Or were the roaring 20s rougher? Well, with the recent passing of Elizabeth Taylor, author William J. Mann reflects on the difference between celebrities now and the golden age of Hollywood. Writing in the New York Times, a paper, Mann points out that before Taylor, studios carefully protected the private lives of its stars. But today's stars face non-stop media coverage across several platforms, kind of like these A-listers. I totally get why the paparazzi follow them everywhere. Anyway, let's discuss this in our
lightning round.
Very quick. Gov, you're a celebrity. Does the web and social networking make it harder for you to live a life?
Well, I think it's harder for all of us to live life, and if you do anything public, now you have to realize that there is no such thing as a private moment. Every speech, everything you do is being videotaped by somebody who thinks they're, a cinematographer because they have a cell phone.
Yes, it's actually keeps everybody on their toes, but it makes my life very hard, Skunk. Do you think the world's changed for celebrity, and should we feel their pain?
We should feel their pain because nobody's going to get paid anymore. Computer-generated music, buyouts instead of royalties, celebrities wanting to be celebrities instead of getting paid for it. I think that it's the new world, and it's kind of sad.
Oh, that's a big downer, but I really don't care about them. Imogen, do you lay awake at night and worry about the fragile psyche of Gwyneth Paltrow?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously the whole mystique has gone on so many levels, but if you're smart, you can do well with the new terrain. I mean, for instance, Obama, he got elected because of social networking, everyone says, in 2008. Kim Kardashian has an empire built on Twitter, basically, and her backside.
Yeah.
So, if you're smart, you can use it to your advantage.
Well, Bill, you haven't achieved anything, and no one recognizes you, so it's a win-win.
No, Win-Win is an independent film featuring the likes of Paul Giamatti and a cast of unknowns, Greg, and I'm told it's got excellent buzz.
Really?
As for Elizabeth Taylor, Really? I mean, I wasn't around during Elizabeth Taylor's heyday, but I'm pretty sure America knew about every pill she popped, every drink she drank, every husband she cheated on. This was not hidden.
Don't degrade her now.
Well, it's true. She did all of those things. And
No, I know
it
what
was
you're
not
saying.
a
What you're
secret.
saying is that she was on TV a lot, but that was because of Larry King, basically, wasn't it? My theory on this is the more outlets there are, the more the celebrity expands to fill it. It's like taxes.
But also have right to reply. I mean, the good thing about Twitter, say you have right to reply immediately. So, I mean, it has changed the landscape in some ways to a celebrity's advantage.
All right.
Well, it's great because you now really know how dumb they are. When they're actually handling their own Twitter account, it's
That's
beautiful.
the best part about it. All right, next topic. Sylvester Stallone is launching a clothing line featuring jeans, shirts, I love activewear, watches, and shoes. The line's main source of inspiration, Rocky in Rambo, says Sly, Rocky, at the end of the day, is a love story, while Rambo showcases the other side of masculinity. He is a loner. So the line will offer looks for the rebel and the gentleman. Skunk, best or worst idea Stallone has ever had?
Great idea. I mean, guy's a smart guy. Listen, he came up with a movie idea called Rocky, and nobody would buy into it. So I think he's a pretty smart guy. And if you want, he can always have a fragrance called Sweat.
Yeah, that's true. No. It might already exist, I wonder. Imogen, is this what the fashion world needs? I think so.
Anyone sane would clearly want to look like Sly Stallone. I mean, I believe Gaddafi and his sons have already got their pre-orders in.
That's true. I believe that all he has to do is buy old Ed Hardy clothing and they just spray paint Sly Stallone over it.
I think you're absolutely right there.
Have you seen their mission statement?
Yes. Gov, would you wear anything from this line?
Probably the headband. I'm sure I would wear that. That would look good with my suit.
Yeah, I think actually when you play bass with the headband would be awesome.
I think so. With a tie, with a coat, the whole deal. I think it would fit beautifully.
All right, Bill, shouldn't he have picked maybe some more interesting characters in his what's the word I'm looking for?
Repertoire?
Well, whatever. Like Cobra. Remember Cobra?
Sure.
Or Judge Dredd?
Cop from Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah, fantastic.
All stuff that he could do. I just want to know, will the Rambo line have mullet relaxer, and can I pre-order?
That's a good question. A question I don't have an answer for, but tune in tomorrow and I will. Last topic. So the cast of Glee has done it again, made me attempt to chew my own ear off. Also, their songs have hit the Billboard Hot 100 chart, this time with 7 new tracks from last week's episode. Skunk, I got to go to you because you put out a lot of music. These are a bunch of covers that are doing well. Does this bother you that they're so bland and unoriginal? I mean, this is Muzak, right?
Well, we're going. It's a little scary, but you know what? It's good for kids because kids get to be part of it. It shows that you don't have to be a superstar to be a musician and be involved in music, and I think that's a good thing. And I think this is going to be very exciting because, with this Glee-related stuff, there's going to be endorsements like Glee food and Glee vaccines and Glee artificial human organs. I think they're moving down the right road.
You're thinking ahead. Bill, you reenact the entire episode of Glee with your homeless friends down by the overpass, so you must be happy for them.
They're not my friends, Greg.
No?
They force me to do this every night at gunpoint.
Really?
I've been thinking long and hard about changing my route home.
I don't think that's a good idea, because where would you get your entertainment?
I secretly love it. There's pleasure and pain, my friend.
I know.
Pleasure and pain.
Imogen, your father was in the Beatles. What's your take on this?
Absolutely. I was actually going to go, to the power of Gwyneth, really.
Yes.
And her fans, such as Andy Levy, buying multiple copies of her Glee songs.
I had no idea. That's terrible.
And he dresses up like her while he watches her. Quite the creepy scene.
Gov, you have a tremendous knowledge of music. Does this say more about the lack of good songs that are being produced now, that these mere copies, this Muzak-generated guff, if you will?
Humbuggery.
What do you really think?
The word guff.
Yeah.
Did I just age 30 years just now?
Yeah.
Whoa. This guff is beating everything on the charts.
I think what it says one thing, that the studios control more of the music than the artists do, and that's a tragedy because we're losing art to celebrity. And there was a day when people were artists and we admire them for their craft, and you could hear the first 5 seconds of a song and you knew who was doing it because they were unique.
Yeah.
Today, it's all produced by an engineer in a studio, and the artist, or the entertainer, excuse me, is irrelevant to the process because their voices can be auto-tuned and the instruments can be completely electronically and artificially created. And the real musicians, the great artists, we're losing them to this absolute tripe, and not that Glee is, don't get me wrong. Covers are great because they're covering good music.
Right.
But the tragedy is we're losing the ability to see these artists who can survive generations by still making great, great music.
I don't think you feel strongly about this.
No,
I
I
don't
don't.
think he does
I'm
at all.
glad.
No disrespect to Rebecca Black or her family.
No,
Yeah.
I think her stuff is great. Now, that's real art.
Yeah. Next
you
time I
go.
want you to bring an opinion.
Okay.
Did you play the part of rerun on What's Happening? That was awesome.
All right. It's time for another break. Coming up, something. Probably. So last night I told you how much I enjoy playing ping pong with my Uncle Steve. Nude. I do, but I also love charity. So let's get to the final bit of my latest piece of art. This is called Jones in Jeans, my hip-hop version of Unicorn Jones hanging around in baggy jeans. The latest bid from Leslie Pembroke offered a nice sum of $500 for this piece of art. Well done, Leslie. Now, I did receive another bid from Jim Perko for $500, which doesn't help. Jim, you have to bid higher. That's how it works. If you bid $501, you would have won. But because Leslie came first, she wins. Congratulations, Leslie. Jim, you can bid later. Leslie gets this glorious piece of art, which will be tastefully framed and sent out once we get the check. Now on to the next piece of art. I call this Pleasure in Pain, and it depicts a pleasant memory of a distant weekend I spent in Brussels with a unicorn/massage therapist I met in an internet cafe in the early 80s, which was weird because there was no internet back then. She will be missed. Email your bid to this amazing picture that I did myself to redeye@foxnews.com to be considered. The bid's closed by Friday next week. And as you know, all the money goes to the Wounded Warriors Project. And remember, let's not forget the real message here. It's not just about charity. It's about me impressing the local pharmacist with my boundless compassion.
Mail time. Mail time. Mail time.
Mail time address is redeye@foxnews.com. You write, I read, then it's over. Here we go. Becky from Center Mauritius, don't know where that is, New York, leads things off. Being the show's called Red Eye, does anyone on the cast smoke pot? Becky, none of us smoke pot here at Red Eye. That would interfere with our jobs, and it would also piss off that giant four-headed kangaroo who can hear my thoughts. Right now he's sleeping, so he has no idea we're having this conversation, and I prefer to keep it that way. Somebody who didn't leave a name emails, what are the names of your guests on your March 15th, 2011 show? Good question. I checked, and it's Jack Nicholson, Angelina Jolie, Kim Jong-il, and then, of course, we did that guest segment with Jimmy Hoffa. Who knew he lived around the corner from me? Great guy. He bought me a leg of lamb and left it on the porch.
Oh.
We actually spent the weekend in Vermont, and he can really rollerblade.
I'd read that.
Yeah. Tim from Madison, Wisconsin, nothing happening there. The fact that Tucker Carlson would compare Jessica Black to Paul McCartney is like comparing apples to oranges. He doesn't actually think like this, does he? He can't be that stupid. That's like comparing Kurt Cobain to John Lennon. Yeah, that is like comparing Kurt Cobain to John Lennon, and that John Lennon is way more talented than Kirk. But Kurt Cobain, that's a different story. They both suck. Finally, David writes, I watched your segment on Imus this morning. I can't wait to check your book out at the library. Thank you for that, but you do realize checking my book out at the library is like showing me a sandwich instead of actually feeding me the sandwich. What you should do is head over to Amazon.com and purchase my book, which is conveniently discounted at a reasonable price I'm sure you can afford. And might I add, all the proceeds go to charity. Charity is my nickname for my wallet, and wallet is what I call my pool boy because I store many valuables in him. All right, we will close things out with the post-game wrap-up from TV's Andy Levy and the see clips of recent shows. Go to foxnews.com/redeye. Look at I'm going to be on Huckabee Saturday, 8 p.m. That's technically today, in a few hours. Back to Andy for the post-game wrap-up.
Thanks. Hey, Governor, how's the book doing?
It's doing very well. It could be doing better. Buy it.
Succinct.
Yes.
Hey, Skunk, I hear a pretty big name is attached to your solo project?
Getting all kinds of folks on board, and Clint Black came on board. By the way, he wants to do the show, but he said that he thinks that Greg's afraid of what he's going to say if he gets on the show.
Yeah.
Greg doesn't
I fear no one.
Yeah, you fear everyone.
Except everyone. I was going to say that, you jerk.
Sorry. Hey, Imogen, what would you like for your birthday next week, other than for everyone to know it's your birthday next week?
You can follow me on Twitter, and if you're that mean man that broke me at my heart, you can buy me a new pair of shoes.
What about one shoe?
Okay.
Times are tough.
Back to you, Greg.
Thanks, Andy. Go away. Imogen, always a pleasure. Bill Schultz, you stink. Skunk Baxter, a delight. And Governor Mike Huckabee, always a pleasure having you near me. I'm Greg Gutfeld, and I shall see you soon.